Hello there, everybody, and happy holidays. Welcome into the Pickup Sports Talk Bowl Prediction Special. I'm Spencer Stein here, just give you guys my quick picks. Me and Brandon did our playoff predictions last week, but I'm just going to give you guys my full rundown. We will be back in studio filming regular episodes on January 6th, but until then, until the new year, I'm just going to do a quick run through of all my bowl predictions. I know bowl season's underway, but there's still a lot of great games to go, including the New Year's Six. So let me start in the playoff, though. We gave our predictions already, but I'm going to reiterate mine, starting with Bama versus Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl. I've been a Cincinnati hater all year. I do think Desmond Ridder is good, and I do think they're a talented team, but they're not in Bama's league. Bama has been great. They haven't been great all year, but they're still an SEC team. They're still the powerhouse of college football. I think behind their defense, led by Will Anderson, who should have been a Heisman finalist instead of Aiden Hutchinson, he'll lead them to victory 48-17 against Cincinnati. And the playoff committee is not going to be interested in putting a group of 5 team in there again. I know this was progress for group of 5 teams, but it's going to backfire, trust me. In the other playoff game, though, I think it's going to be closer. This is a tough pick between Michigan and Georgia. I'm going to lean towards Georgia. Until last week, I would have said Georgia all day. I would have favored them by more than 20 points. But Bama really proved they have weaknesses, but Michigan's offense is nowhere near Bama's offense, even though their defense can match up. I think Cade McNamara has shown improvement, but not enough to be able to score a lot on Georgia. I think Georgia takes that game 27-20. And don't sleep on Stetson Bennett. He's still a decent quarterback for Georgia. I know he actually won the job, the mailman, so he'll get them that playoff victory to get a rematch in the national championship between Georgia and Bama. I'd lean Bama just because I saw them win again, but we'll wait till that matchup's set to analyze that. Now getting into the New Year's Six games, we'll kind of go in reverse order, except for here. I'll start with Michigan State versus Pittsburgh. Pitt's been great all year. Kenny Pickett was a Heisman finalist, but he will not be playing in this game. Michigan State, though, their best player, Kenneth Walker, their running back, is also sitting this game to prepare for the draft. So this has made this game kind of tough to pick. I will go with Michigan State, though. I think losing your quarterback's a bigger deal than losing your running backs. I think Michigan State will slightly be able to take this game 34-30, covering the spread. And just to talk about the betting for 1 second, just for this game, Michigan State is 4-1 as favorites in their last 5 games against the spread. So I have some incentive to go with that game. Moving on to the Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame versus Oklahoma State. I think the biggest deal is that Kyle Hamilton and Kyron Williams are sitting out for Notre Dame. Their safety and running back both will be high draft picks. That on top of it, they lost their coach. I really trust Marcus Freeman. I think he's going to be a great coach for Notre Dame, and Irish fans should be excited about him. But I think it's on too short notice. These aren't his recruits. It's not his team. And I think just because of that, Oklahoma State will be able to take it 28-24 behind a game from Spencer Sanders. Moving on to the Rose Bowl. This is usually a huge game, but the playoff, I feel bad, has kind of undermined some of the other New Year's Six games. It's between Ohio State and Utah. Don't underestimate Utah. They've been a good team all year. I think they've beat Oregon twice, but Ohio State still has C.J. Stroud. If they didn't have him, I might take Utah, but I will not pick against C.J. Stroud. Give me Ohio State 31-21. Sugar Bowl, Ole Miss versus Baylor, the last New Year's Six game I'm going to cover. I love Baylor. I think David Aranda is a great coach in college football, and Baylor in both sports, basketball and football, has kind of started to establish themselves as a powerhouse behind good coaching. They are hot. They're coming off the conference championship. However, Matt Corral is my favorite player in college football. I'm tempted to go Ole Miss just because of that. I will go with Baylor winning by 1 point, 34-33 in that game. But those are all some tough picks. Now moving on to the regular games, I'll start with Kansas State LSU. Now LSU is experiencing a big loss at head coach, and you'll see I kind of have a pattern. I start to pick against these teams who've lost head coaches. I just think it's a big moral loss. And with Ed Orgeron, I think Brian Kelly was a decent hire, but he's not going to be coaching in this game. Kansas State also lost an offensive coordinator in this game. But I will say though, just because Orgeron's gone, and by the way, their quarterback Max Johnson is transferring too, so who knows what's going to go on with LSU that game. I will take Kansas State to win 25-20. This one coming up, Iowa versus Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. I feel like this game always has Michigan in it, this or the Outback Bowl, but this is one of the tougher games to pick. I think both teams have great defenses, and what we've seen out of Iowa lately is so bad, but I hate to do it, but I still think of Kentucky as a basketball school. They can't shut down the run, so it's going to force Spencer Petras, Iowa's quarterback, to throw the ball a lot, but I think he will step up and get the job done. Iowa will take this game 24-16 in a low-scoring one. The Outback Bowl, the other bowl featuring a Big Ten team, Penn State versus Arkansas. You know I've been a big Arkansas guy all year. Got to stick with Woo Pig. KJ Jefferson's the quarterback for them this game. I think he's going to put up big numbers. And I got to stick with them. I will say, in all reality, I love Jahan Dotson. He's a wide receiver for Penn State. I think he should be a first-round pick. And if he plays, they'll make the game closer. But I got to stick with the Hogs, 35-27. Boise State in the Arizona Bowl, hosted by Barstool, is Boise State versus Central Michigan. This one, I don't know much about these teams, but I know Boise State's been consistent more years, and I did watch some of Central Michigan in their conference championship, which they didn't win. Boise State ended the season well enough. I mean, even though they lost San Diego State, they do have wins against BYU and Fresno. I'll take Boise State in a blowout, 38-10. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl between Miami and Wazoo, Washington State. You know, the U, I feel like their program's going to turn around, led by Mario Cristobal, but once again, getting a new head coach won't help them in this bowl game. Wazoo's looked better to me. I'm excited to see Jaden DeLora, their quarterback, as much as I'd love to go with the Canes, I'm going to stick with Wazoo 37-27 with the Cougs. Tax Slayer Bowl in Jacksonville, it was supposed to feature Wake Forest and A&M. Texas A&M, though, has contracted some COVID issues. Now they're being replaced with Rutgers. I was going to go A&M big. I think behind Jimbo, Isaiah Spiller, their running back, and the fact that they've beaten Bama, the number one team in the country this year, I would have favored them, and even though I love Wake, but now that it's Rutgers, I can't pick Rutgers. I think they've had a mediocre season. They're nowhere in Wake Forest league, even though Wake Forest is in the ACC, which could kind of call into question some of their play. They're still a better team. It's not very close. I will go with them 33-20. The Las Vegas Bowl featuring Wisconsin and Arizona State. Another tough one. Wisco was supposed to go to the Big Ten Championship. They didn't. They lost to Minnesota. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think they're going to win this game 20-16. I love Herm Edwards, though, Arizona State's head coach. I think they will put up a fight, especially behind Jaden Daniels at QB. Music City Bowl, Purdue versus Tennessee. Now, Purdue's been exciting all year, but the headline of this game is that they're missing their wide receiver David Bell and George Karlaftis, defensive end, I think, who's going to be entering the draft. He will be a top 10 pick. The fact that they're missing those two players is too much. As much as I don't like what I've seen out of Tennessee this year at all, especially with the quarterback change, I think Purdue can't win without Bell and Karlaftis. Give me Tennessee 34-26. South Carolina versus North Carolina. I think this is the third time they've met in a bowl game, maybe third straight. This is going to be the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We know the winner gets mayo poured on them, and I think this time it's going to be North Carolina. They are only 6-6, but Sam Howell's the reason they're 6-6. If it wasn't for them, they might be 3-9 or even worse. So I will take North Carolina in this game. South Carolina doesn't have Spencer Rattler quite yet. I think they're going to need him to start winning soon. Alamo Bowl, Oklahoma versus Oregon. These are two big-time programs. They've kind of underperformed this year, I'd say. Oregon lost their coach. So did Oklahoma. Two biggest probably coaches' losses all year, I'd say. But Caleb Williams is going to be playing for Oklahoma, and I trust him. I don't trust Oregon at all, by the way. Give me Oklahoma in a shootout, 40-34. Moving on, Clemson versus Iowa State in the Cheez-It Bowl. Another exciting one. Clemson has been the most underperforming team all year. DJ Uiagalelei was supposed to be, he was in the Heisman race preseason. So was Breece Hall, Iowa State's running back. And I would have picked Iowa State behind the coaching of Matt Campbell. I know Dabo's also a great coach. But Breece Hall is out. He's skipping. He wants to prepare for the draft. I don't love that move. But just because of that, I'm going to have to go with Clemson to step up. DJ will step up. They'll win 28-27 behind great coaching. Dabo, I know you could say he had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. I still trust him as a coach. Pinstripe Bowl. I hate this bowl. Indiana was always put in it. They kind of throw the worst Big Ten team into it. It's kind of bummy teams, got to admit. It's between Virginia Tech and Maryland. I don't trust Tua's brother. I think it's Taulia Tagovailoa as Maryland's quarterback. Virginia Tech did lose a crucial coach, but I will go with them 31-24. Just everything I've seen out of Maryland's been bad this year. Fenway Bowl in Boston at Fenway Park, an interesting one. Virginia versus SMU. And once again, I have to stick with the Power 5. I'm really adamant about this game. SMU's 8-4 in a Group of 5 conference. Virginia, Bronco Mendenhall's been their coach for a while. This is his last game for Virginia. He's leaving the team. So I think that they're going to play their hearts out for him, win this big time. 43-24, they'll run up the score a bit. Minnesota versus West Virginia in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. You know, I haven't seen much out of West Virginia this year, but I have watched Minnesota, and they've surprised me. They've played better despite tons of injuries. First game of the year when they almost beat Ohio State, they surprised me. PJ Fleck, one of my favorite coaches, rowed the boat. He was great at Western Michigan. Give me Minnesota in that one, 30-21. Mississippi State versus Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. Mike Leach, Mississippi State's head coach, against Texas Tech, the program he used to coach. He invented the air raid offense there. I think he's going to have a revenge game, win that big time 38-27. I feel like I'm having a lot of big scores, so I will say I think over bets are good in some of these games, but make sure to do your research. But when Mike Leach is out there, I always got to go with that. Love some of his shallow musings, as College Game Day would say. UCLA versus NC State in the Holiday Bowl. Another tough one, but I got to stick with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, the running back, Dorian DTR is the quarterback, and Chip Kelly, their coach. I know they hit a bump mid-season, but I think they've rebounded decently of late. I'll take them in this one over NC State, 31-29. The First Responder Bowl, Louisville versus Air Force. This is the one bowl I'm not going to go with the Power 5 team. Everything I've seen out of Louisville and Scott Satterfield this year has been awful. I think Air Force has been very, very quietly put together a good season. I think behind their running back Brad Roberts, he's going to score 2 touchdowns. He's really been the only player that I think has been a big bright spot in Air Force. He's been almost their whole offense. I think they're going to take this one behind him in an upset, 30-26. Last game I'm going to get to, Houston versus Auburn, the Birmingham Bowl. One more time, got to stick with War Eagle, got to stick with the SEC team. They've had so much competition this year. And last time we saw them, they almost beat Bama. Behind their backup quarterback, TJ Finley, they're going to take this one 34-24. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for listening in. We'll be back after New Year's. I hope everyone has a happy holidays and has a nice bowl season. Get those wins. Thanks.